Shalom, shalom, friends, and it's so good to have you with me again today on a Tuesday as we join together on the sixth day of the holiday of Passover. Now, some of you might be surprised. The sixth day? How long does Passover last? Well, the truth of the matter is Passover lasts 8 days. So we're about to enter into tonight. We start the last 2 days of Passover, days that are special on the Jewish calendar. But let me talk for a moment a little bit about this idea of Passover lasting for 8 days, because we focus so much on the beginning of Passover, so much on the beginning of the Seders for Pesach. But there's something very powerful about this 8-day holiday, the fact that it is 8 days. For, you see, 7, the number 7 in Jewish thought represents the natural order of things, the world as it is. Creation, as you know, unfolds in 7 days. Life follows a predictable pattern. But 8... See, 8 is just beyond that. 8 is the step past what's normal, the hint that something more is possible. Pesach begins with a dramatic story. It begins with a story about oppression and miracles and liberation. We relive the Exodus, the taste of the bitterness, and celebrate the breakthrough out of Egypt into freedom. But if the holiday ended there, we might think that freedom was just a moment, just a single turning point. The 8th day reminds us to look beyond. By the time we reach it, the intensity of the Seder has passed. By the time we reach these last 2 days, the intensity of the Seder has passed. The rituals that we are going to do tomorrow and the next day, they're much quieter. And that's maybe the whole point. For the 8th day asks us to think about that now that we are free, what will we do with that freedom? Leaving Egypt was never the end of the story. Leaving Egypt is really the beginning of the story. The Torah's narrative continues through the wilderness towards Sinai, towards covenant, towards responsibility. Freedom isn't just a release from something. It is a movement towards something greater. In that sense, the fact that we have 8 days at all represents a greater kind of deeper redemption, not the breaking of change, but of chains, but the transformation of the self. It asks us to look inward and consider what habits, what fears, what limitations hold us back. What are the places in our lives where we are still in Egypt? The message of the 8th day is both challenging and hopeful. Real freedom means going beyond what we thought was natural or fixed. It means believing that change is possible even when it feels unlikely. Pesach is not a story about the past. It's an invitation. An invitation to move from external liberation to inner growth, from miracle to meaning, from being freed to truly becoming free. As this holiday comes to a close, we might ask ourselves, what's it going to look for me to take one step into day 8, to move just beyond the limits that I've accepted, to begin to live a life with a deeper sense of freedom. There's a lot to think about on these days, friends. A lot of us to consider about the meanings of freedom and about how we are going to handle ourselves in these days. The world that we are living in, unfortunately, pushes us to fend for ourselves mostly, to worry about what is our desire, what is on our heart. But we need to go beyond that. We need to think about how freedom gives us responsibility in this world. And at a time and on a day and an hour when we are concerned about the world in so many ways, we need to think about how we transform ourselves and how we will transform the world. Pesach was also meant to tell us to move from that narrow place where we feel stuck into the wide open expanse. It's a lot to think about, a lot to do, a lot for us to consider. But this is one of the messages of an 8-day holiday. One day beyond what is natural. I'll say one other thing about 8 days. When a baby is born and brought into this world, we perform the Brit Milah, the circumcision, the naming ceremony, on the 8th day. Much for the same reason as I just described, much because we understand that if the baby has survived more than the 1 week, natural week, then that next day is a day of infinite possibilities. We're approaching the 8th day. We're approaching that day for ourselves of infinite possibilities. Every year when it comes to the 8th day of Pesach, let's remember, it's a day of infinite possibilities for us for a year ahead. We're going to conclude, as we do every week, with a prayer. Always a prayer for peace, always needed, especially today. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabam, b'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabam v'varach li'olam li'amei amaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitboar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yidaleh v'yidalal shemei d'kudisha barichu, li'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata damiram b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shloma rabba min shemaya, v'chayim oleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Oleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the one who makes peace above bring peace to us, and please God, peace to the whole world today. Peace. And let us say amen. Thank you for being with us, friends. See you next week.